Well, it's time to show off the goods. The time has come. I'm going to show my entire guitar and bass collection, so far. In addition to that, I thought I'd also show off my gear, including amps and pedals. Before we jump in, I want you to know I realize how fortunate I am to have this kind of collection. Keep in mind I've been a musician for over 25 years, so I've had some time to accumulate these things. I'm also happy to say that a majority of this collection was bought used. I believe that's the best way to save money and get quality gear. Alright, let's jump right in. I've organized this by brand. The first brand up is one of my favorite brands of guitars, Jackson. This first model is the Jackson Dinky. Both of these Dinkies are from the JS line, however this one has a quilted top. Jackson makes quality guitars, even with their entry-level models. Here we have the Jackson Rhodes V, named after the guitar legend Randy Rhodes. This one is from the JS line, but it still rips. Here we have the Jackson Warrior, which is easily my favorite Jackson shape, and quite possibly my favorite guitar shape overall. This guitar is also from the JS line, and even though it sounds great, I wanted an upgrade. So I got this, the X Series Jackson Warrior. I put on a heavier set of strings and dropped it down to A. I also gave this thing a pickup upgrade. In the bridge I have the Seymour Duncan Nazgul, and in the neck I have the Seymour Duncan Black Winter. I gotta say, it's quite the combination. This right here is the X Series Jackson Kelly. As a fan of Marty Friedman, I knew I always wanted to get one into the collection one day. This also happens to be my favorite colors, black and red. And this last Jackson in my collection is definitely a gem. Like many of my instruments, I found this one on Facebook Marketplace. This is the 1996 Made in Japan Jackson Professional King V. It's tuned to drop C, and it absolutely rips. The next brand in my collection is going to be BC Rich. They hands down have the coolest shapes overall. This one right here is my NJ Series Beast. This guitar is pointy, it's heavy, and you can take it into battle after your show. This next guitar is the BC Rich Avenge, also known as the Son of Beast. They call it that because it's the same shape as the Beast, but it's about 30% smaller. This guitar only has one pickup, but that's all it needs. This next guitar is my Platinum Series Warlock. It's tuned down to drop A and sounds badass. And in my opinion, the Warlock is one of the coolest guitar shapes out there. This next BC Rich is called the War Beast because it's a combination of the last two body shapes. The top fins are the same as the Beast, but the bottom is the same as the Warlock, hence the name War Beast. This one has EMGs, and it sounds as ferocious as it looks. The next BC Rich in my collection is the KKV, the entry-level signature model from Kerry King, released in the early 2000s. I replaced the bridge pickup with an EMG. This guitar sounds great. The next BC Rich in my collection is definitely my favorite BC Rich shape, the Ironbird. This particular model is the Ironbird Extreme, and it's my only guitar with Fishman Fluence pickups. I gotta say, this guitar sounds as badass as it looks, and it's one of my favorites in the collection. This next guitar is the BC Rich Revenge. I'm not exactly sure how it's different from the Warlock, but I like the way it looks, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. I like BC Rich so much, I also have some BC Rich basses. Like the last guitar, this is also the BC Rich Revenge. Even though this bass looks like medieval weaponry, it sounds surprisingly smooth. I showed you the BC Rich Platinum Series Warlock guitar. Well, here's the BC Rich Platinum Series Warlock bass. This particular model is from the early 90s, and you can tell by the killer lime green color. I love the way this bass looks, sounds, and feels. This next brand is Ibanez, and as you can see, this guitar is my favorite colors, red and black. This particular model is the Ibanez Geo, but it's got a really long name. Its full name is the Ibanez GRG 131DX BKF. I don't know why they need to give it such a long name, but it's a great entry-level guitar. Here's another favorite guitar in my collection. This one is the Ibanez RG 470MB. I was attracted by its looks, but I was impressed by the sound, especially how well it holds its tune. If you're a fan of Ibanez, definitely give this guitar a look. This next Ibanez RG is a rare one. Its full name is the RGR 521EX2. This one was never released in stores and only available at the 2016 NAMM show. I didn't go to the NAMM show, but I bought it used off Facebook Marketplace. I'm not so sure the guy knew what he had because he sold it to me for relatively cheap. But to be fair, I didn't know what I had until I got home and did some more research. I was attracted because of the Grim Reaper inlay. The next brand is ESP LTD, and definitely one of my favorite guitar brands. This particular guitar right here is the EC256, in my opinion, one of the best guitars for under $500. In my opinion, even these stock pickups sound great. This is the LTD KHWZ, the signature guitar for Metallica's Kirk Hammett. It comes complete with his EMG Bonebreaker pickups. Not only that, it has this incredible Bela Lugosi graphic, and as a big fan of horror movies, I'm really happy I have this in the collection. This next LTD is definitely the rarest guitar that I have in my collection. In the early 2000s, LTD released a limited run of guitars where they had album covers on them. To my knowledge, it was just Slayer and Metallica. For Slayer, they did the albums Raining Blood, South of Heaven, and Seasons in the Abyss. For Metallica, they did Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Master of Puppets. They only made about 1,500 of each, so they're really hard to find. I bought this one used years ago for a really great price. But this is more than just a wall piece. This guitar comes with EMG pickups and sounds absolutely killer. This next guitar brand is quickly becoming one of my favorites, Schecter. This particular guitar is the Omen Extreme. It sounds good, looks good, and most importantly, feels good to play. This next Schecter is easily one of my favorite guitars in the entire collection. This is the Damien Platinum, a neck-through guitar with EMG pickups. Sounds great live, as well as on recording. If you happen to see this one used on Marketplace for a good price, jump on it right away. The next guitar brand is going to be Washburn, and this is my only guitar from that brand. This is the Dime 32 EC. I bought it the day after Dime passed away. I knew that he was signed to Dean, and these Washburns would be harder and harder to find. This is only an entry-level model, but I'm still really glad I got it. I don't play it often, it sits safely on the wall. The next guitar brand is Dean, and this is my only guitar from them as well. This is the Dean Razorback. This is only the entry-level model, but as you can see, the previous owner did some modifications. The first is this silver edge that goes around the guitar. I think he did it to make it look like one of the more expensive models of Dean Razorback. Moving on to the next modification, they also attempted to make some sort of camo pattern by weathering some of the paint. It looks amateur at best, but I'm okay with that, especially because of the next modification he did, upgrading the pickups. In the bridge, we have the Seymour Duncan Dimebucker, and in the neck, we have the Bill Lawrence pickup. This next guitar is by the company Phantom. This is a high-quality neck-through guitar from the 80s. I could tell you more about it, but why spoil the fun? You can go down the rabbit hole just like I did trying to find out more information about this guitar. Again, this brand is called Phantom, and you can tell by the little phantom on the logo. The next brand is going to be Fender Squire. Not to worry, I still have more guitars to show you, but here come some basses. This particular model is the Sonic Bronco bass. It only has one pickup, but sounds pretty great. The only problem is the electronics just kind of fizzled out on me, and I'm too busy to get them fixed. Here we have the classic Vibe Jaguar bass. It's a short scale bass, kind of like the last one, but that makes the neck really easy to get around. I also love the fact that it's got the black matching headstock. Here we have a 5-string Squire jazz bass with active pickups. This bass sounds surprisingly awesome, and I have it tuned down to drop G. Here we have the Squire Classic 70s Vibe jazz bass, with some modifications done by the previous owner. The first was a pickup swap. He put in Seymour Duncan quarter-pound jazz bass pickups. They sound absolutely awesome. The next modification he did was paint the headstock black, and he put a Fender logo on it instead of Squire. Not to worry though, he didn't try and fool me when selling it. He was very forthcoming about his modifications. Here we have one of the newest to the collection, the limited edition Squire Sonic Precision bass. I love the lime green, and it sounds just as good. Well, I guess it's pretty obvious what colors I like, and you can tell from this next brand of bass. This one is from the brand Solar. This is Ola England's brand, and I'm a big fan. This particular bass is the AB2 5GN. It's absolutely great for metal and cuts right through the mix. This next brand is easily my favorite bass company, Warwick. If I was ever lucky enough to get a bass endorsement one day, I'd want it to be from Warwick. Here we have the Warwick Corvette, and it's been in my collection for 20 years. This was my first high-quality bass, and I still use it to this day. I love the Warwick Corvette so much I bought another one in red. This one weighs a little less than the other one, and I played this one on stage the most. This bass has been through absolute hell. After seeing the last two basses, I'm sure it's no surprise to see I went with the Corvette when I was looking for a 5-string. I love everything about this bass, from the looks to the sound to the feel. This next bass from Warwick is the Corvette Double Buck. It has the same look as the other Corvettes, but this one's actually quite different. This one has active pickups and a bunch of different knobs and switches to help contour your tone. I'm also forgetting the name of the wood right now, but this neck is made of some fancy wood that I can't pronounce. This is definitely an awesome addition to the collection, with a very different sound than the other Warwicks. The last Warwick in my collection is going to be the Warwick Vampire. This one is the Dark Lord edition. From my research, I think this is a slightly longer scale neck. As a fan of BC Rich, I absolutely love the shape, and had to get this in the collection. So I organized the guitars in this video by brand, name brand, and now coming up is going to be budget brands. I figured showing you my one Yamaha acoustic would be a nice transition between the two. This guitar only costs about $300, but it does my favorite thing. It stays in tune. So the first budget brand we're going to talk about is probably my favorite, Firefly. Here we have the Firefly FFVX, and as you can see, it's made to look like a Dean ML. The best part about Firefly guitars is, if you upgrade the pickups, you'll have a beast on your hands for real cheap. Like the last Firefly, this is also the FFVX, but as you can tell, this is made to look like an Explorer. I love the black and the red, so I had to add this to the collection. Firefly also makes single-cut shaped guitars, and here we have the Firefly FFSP. Every time I feature this black one in the video, people always ask me questions about it. Firefly's website is guitarsgarden.com. The Firefly FFTL is next, and as you can see, it's the Telecaster shape. This white and red one has the aesthetic that John 5 has on his guitar. It also comes complete with a kill switch. The silver Telecaster is actually a baritone with a slightly longer neck. It's tuned to drop A and sounds badass for a Telecaster. One of my oldest Fireflies, the Firefly SG. As a fan of Tony Iommi, I couldn't help but play some Black Sabbath riffs when I added this to my collection. As you can see, Firefly also makes Strats. Here's the FFST. I love the chameleon paint job, as well as the Stratocaster sound. The roasted maple neck and the locking tuners is also a nice touch. This neck shape is made to look like the PRS. This is the Firefly FFPR. In my opinion, this guitar is visually stunning, from the cool paint job to the awesome inlays. Moving on to the last Firefly in my collection, and it's probably my favorite, the JA Baritone. With a 30-inch neck, it's tuned to drop A and sounds absolutely devastating. This next budget brand also makes high-quality instruments and gear, Harley Benton. Here we have the Harley Benton EX84 complete with EMG pickups. If you were a fan of James Hetfield during the Injustice for All era, how can you not love this guitar? Similar to the Firefly Baritone, this Harley Benton JA Baritone also has a 30-inch neck. However, this one has P90 pickups and sounds absolutely badass. This next guitar from Harley Benton is truly one of my favorites, and it's also unique to my collection. It's unique because it's a 7-string, and it's also a multi-scale. I didn't have either one of those until I acquired this beauty. This guitar is tuned to drop G and plays absolutely disgusting riffs. This next guitar from Harley Benton is the Victory Active SBK. This guitar looks amazing, but it has a little bit of a grounding issue. Not to worry though, it was an easy fix, and there's plenty of videos online showing you how to do it. And the last from Harley Benton is going to be this PJ4 SBK. I love the aesthetic and the fact that it has a jazz bass and a split coil pickup. This next brand is West Creek, and I'm a big fan of theirs as well. This guitar right here is the High Voltage. It looks great, sounds great, and feels great to play. If you're a fan of Van Halen, how could you not love this JX50 by West Creek? It comes with the black and yellow Bumblebee aesthetic, as well as a roasted maple neck. This next guitar is one of West Creek's most popular models. This is the Revenge. I love the way this guitar looks, I love the way this guitar sounds, and most importantly, it doesn't have neck dive. This next guitar is the West Creek Cerberus, and every time I pick this guitar up, I always think to myself, man, I love the way this plays. I should play it more often. For a budget guitar, it looks great, sounds great, and most importantly, feels great. My last guitar from West Creek is going to be the TT50. This also has a roasted maple neck, and I love the bloody scratches look. Like all the other West Creeks, you can find this one on Amazon for under $250. This next brand is going to be Vintage. This is the only guitar I have from them. This is the VMX Warp. They're hard to find, but with a body shape like this, I was excited to get it into the collection. This next guitar is the answer to the question, can you find a guitar for under $100? You bet, and it's right here. This is the Galeri GSTE, and as a big fan of skulls, once I saw the paint job, I had to get it. Another popular budget brand is the brand Donner. You can get this one for under $200 on Amazon, and I gotta say, it's a great entry-level guitar. This last budget brand is going to be Leo James. If you're a fan of Star Trek, you might like this body shape. Here we have the Leo James Single Cut Deluxe. Check out this cool skull graphic. It's got a set neck, and for under $200 on Amazon, how can you go wrong? This next guitar is the Leo James Tempest. I don't think you can find it anymore because it's out of print. However, if you want to stop traffic, this axe is for you. This last Leo James is an upgrade to the last guitar. This is the Tempest Deluxe. You can definitely tell that this is more of a quality instrument. However, using the whammy bar takes this guitar out of tune. And that's never a good thing. Well, I saved this guitar for last. Even though the headstock says ESP, it's only a replica. This is a replica of Kirk Hammett's Karloff Mummy guitar. But I was able to get this one off eBay for only $250. This guitar might look amazing, but it doesn't sound that great. It's better as a wall piece and a conversation starter. I almost forgot to mention that I had this Alesis Mesh Nitro electronic drum kit. I also have a Pearl Forum drum kit, but that's at another location. So moving right along into amplifiers, we have my main live rig. I have the Boss Katana 100 watt head, and I have two options when I want to run it into a cabinet. I can either go into my Harley Benton 2x12, or I can go into my Randall KH 4x12. Both of these sound amazing. This next amp is my mini half stack. It's the Guitar Research T64 RS with a 4x8 cabinet. As for my bass rig, I have the Ampeg B2R going into my Ampeg 4x10 cabinet. I also have an Ampeg 8x10 cabinet, but that's at another location. Also in the rack, I have the Korg tuner and the BBE Sonic Maximizer. Now let's check out some pedals. Here's my guitar pedal board. As you can see on the bottom, we have the Boss Chromatic Tuner. We have the Dime Crybaby from Hell Wah. We have the Digitech Whammy pedal. Over here we have the Boss Flanger pedal, and on top of that we have the Ghost Rain Reverb Delay by Kayleen. Lastly, at the top you see the Solar Chug pedal. I don't use that often unless I need that little bit extra boost. I plan on reworking that pedal board with some additional pedals, and here they are. We have the Dime Distortion by MXR. We also have the Donner Noise Killer pedal, which is one of my favorite noise gates. I'm also in the process of building a pedal board for my bass, and it's going to start with this foundation. The Sansamp DI bass driver and the Alpha Omega pedal by Darkglass. When you put these together, it creates an incredible tone. And the newest addition, this Cliff Burton Power Wah Fuzz. I plan on adding a few more pedals, but this is what I'm starting out with. And here we have one last round of pedals. A few of these might make it onto my bass pedal board. This first pedal is the Boss Bass Overdrive. I bought it at the famous music store Manny's Music in New York City. This was the first guitar pedal I ever bought. I don't use it much anymore, but I'll never get rid of it. This next pedal is the Behringer Ultra Metal. When I bought my used Jackson Dinky, the guy was nice enough to throw in some extras, including this pedal. I haven't used it, but I know Behringer makes good stuff. Next up is my delay pedal by Stritch. This one's awesome for a great price. Another pedal from Stritch is their Octave pedal. This is great for the guitar and the bass. And this last pedal is going to be the Stritch Flanger pedal. This one's definitely making it to my bass pedal board. Like the other Stritch pedals, this delivers a great sound for not a lot of money. So that's going to wrap it up for the instruments and gear. I'm releasing this video on New Year's Eve to close out 2024. 2024 was a great year for me on both YouTube and TikTok, and that's thanks to you. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you and let you know how much I appreciate you. Anyone that likes, comments, or shares, even if you just watch my videos, I truly appreciate you. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. I have big things planned for 2025, and I'm looking forward to entertaining you for years to come. So that's going to do it for this one. Before you go, let me know which guitar, bass, or piece of gear you like the best in the comments below. Anyway, I'm the Tatted Bald Guy reminding you it doesn't matter the genre, good music makes your head nod. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Oh, and Happy New Year.